My parents brought me to a summer camp at the beginning of June. I still remember that day very clearly. The heat, the smell of pine trees, and that strange feeling that something new and exciting was about to begin. The road was dusty, the sun was high in the sky, and everything around looked unusually bright. A few minutes after we arrived, my parents' car slowly disappeared around the bend in the road. At first, I felt a little nervous. I was standing there, watching the camp, holding my backpack, not knowing what to expect. But that feeling didn't last long. The camp turned out to be really cool. Almost immediately, I met a few guys from our cabin. We started talking, like we had known each other for years. We ran around the campgrounds, played games, laughed at stupid jokes, went swimming, and spent evenings sitting by the campfire. The days felt light and carefree. It was one of those places where you live in the moment and don't think about anything else. The first few days were perfect. At one point, I honestly thought this might be the best summer of my life. But somewhere in the middle of the week, something strange happened. One day, our whole group went for a walk in the forest near the camp. Nothing unusual, just a path, trees, and sunlight breaking through the branches. I was walking with the others, laughing, listening to conversations, and suddenly I felt like someone was watching me. It wasn't fear, more like discomfort. That feeling you get when you really want to turn around, even though there's no reason to. I looked back a few times. Nothing. Just trees and silence. I told myself it was just my imagination and tried to ignore it. But the feeling didn't go away. A few days later, I started noticing the same thing near the fence that separated the camp from the forest, especially in the evenings. We could be sitting or playing nearby, and I would suddenly feel like someone was standing on the other side, watching us. I never saw anything, just that strange inner sensation. Again, I told myself it was nothing, just my mind playing tricks on me. One evening, my friends and I noticed a shadow behind the fence. It was dark and completely still. Someone joked that it was probably some weirdo spying on us. We all laughed, but inside I felt uneasy. The shadow appeared a few more times, always in the same spot. Eventually, we decided to find out what it was. The next time we saw it, we agreed to act together. We grabbed some sticks, not as weapons, just to feel braver, and quietly crept toward the fence. My heart was pounding, but at the same time, it felt like an adventure. We jumped out of the bushes, waved the sticks, and shouted. And immediately it became clear that we had completely overreacted. It was just a shadow from a tree, a completely ordinary tree growing a bit farther away. In the evening, because of the camp lights, it cast a strange shape onto the fence. We all burst out laughing. Someone said we were idiots. Someone else joked that it was the scariest adventure of the summer. After that, everything seemed to go back to normal. We stopped paying attention to the fence. I stopped constantly looking over my shoulder. The camp became fun and carefree again. But you know what's strange? Even now, when I think about that summer, I still feel like something wasn't quite right. Yes, we found an explanation. Yes, it was only a shadow, but that feeling, the feeling of being watched, it started before we ever saw any shadow at all, and it didn't disappear immediately. I can't say that there was anything truly supernatural in that camp. Maybe it was just a child's imagination. But sometimes it feels like we explain things too easily, just so we don't have to think about them anymore. Because even if everything looked normal, something about that summer still feels off.